Hey, what's up everyone? Bill Ethman here for Money Evolution. In today's video, I want to talk about something I call legal pad financial planning. So this is something that maybe you've experienced, maybe you've even tried to do this on your own. So picture one Saturday morning or one Thursday evening, you decide, hey, I'm going to start getting all of my financial information organized, try to make some plans for my retirement. And you go and you get a legal pad, you start taking an inventory of all your assets, which I think is a great idea, by the way, and you start looking through all of your statements and you want to start making some projections, whether or not maybe you're on the right track for retirement, you're saving enough money, or you're going to be able to hit your retirement lifestyle goals. In fact, actually, some financial professionals do this as well. So maybe you've even sat down with a financial professional and they pulled out their legal pad, asked you to bring in some of your statements and started taking an inventory and helping you kind of get organized for your retirement. And maybe they've even made some recommendations. Maybe they said, hey, we think you should do this. We think maybe you should put more money into a Roth IRA account, or this is what I think you should do with your Social Security benefits. And in our opinion, I think there's a much better way to do this. And we have computers now that can do all kinds of fantastic calculations. We use a very sophisticated piece of financial planning software called eMoney. We call it Wealth Vision by eMoney. But basically, this piece of software can help us do a couple of things. Number one, it's going to help you get organized. And that's something that, albeit a legal pad can certainly do that. It can help you take an inventory of your financial assets, but we're going to get organized, kind of put all of that information into a financial plan. We're also going to be able to run some projections for your retirement. And what we're doing here is we're looking at basically where you are now. We've talked about this in some of the other videos, kind of putting together your vision and things like that, but basically fast forwarding out into the future and looking at what the cost of that retirement might be. Now, you could do this to some degree with a legal pad and everything, but there's a lot going on here. In fact, there's a lot more going on than really might make sense. So you have, basically you have maybe a certain amount of dollar assets right now. And it doesn't matter what that amount is, but those assets are going to grow from now until that time that you're going to retire. There's also going to be a cost factor for or an inflation factor for these costs. In other words, those costs are going to get more expensive. So we have inflation there that we have to factor in as well. And then we also have another element to this, and that is that you're going to be making contributions to those retirement accounts. So that's something that right there, just kind of factoring in those three things really already kind of goes beyond just the scope of what we can do with a legal pad. Now you could build a spreadsheet to this, and actually that probably wouldn't even be that complicated of a spreadsheet, or you could use a financial calculator maybe to kind of make those projections. Where things really start to get interesting there is when we start looking at what we call the 7 core elements of retirement planning. And so if you think about your retirement, there's a lot of different things that are going to go into this. Of course, kind of understanding what those costs are going to be in retirement. There's a lot of elements to that cost. One of our 7 core elements is healthcare. And so interesting about that is that healthcare costs are one of the fastest growing expenses. It's actually one of the #1 concerns that people approaching retirement have. But in our financial planning calculations, we have an inflation factor that might be about 3.75% for normal cost of living, but for healthcare, we tend to run that at about a 7% annual increase. And that tends to be about the historical average when you look at some of the reports like the JP Morgan healthcare study that they do every year. Healthcare expenses are growing at about 7%. So now we got things that are kind of growing at different levels there. We also have a lot of different things with your 401k. That's one of the other options, and what those things you can do with a 401k plan after you retire, and things like Roth or traditional. And again, we talk about taxes a lot. That's one of the other elements there. But one of the things that is definitely going to go beyond the scope of just a legal pad financial plan is making some of those tax decisions. Because one of the things when we get into our financial plan, we're going to have your taxable income projected year by year by year from now until you're 90 or 95 years old. So we're going to be able to make some predictions as to what those tax rates are going to be in the future. And one of the things that goes into that a lot of people don't necessarily think about are required minimum distributions. Everyone knows at 59.5, or most people do, that you can take money out of your retirement accounts penalty free. Well, at 70.5, you have to start taking minimum required distributions from your retirement accounts, and we're going to run some projections on that. So if you're starting off and you've got $1 million in a retirement account and you start fast forwarding 10 years down the road or 15, 20 years down the road, what that account is going to grow to and the projected required minimum distributions, what is that going to do to your tax rate there? So those are a couple things there. Of course, looking at Social Security. That's a big one. And so what you're probably starting to understand is that there's a lot of these different elements that are kind of intertwined, and having the ability to make adjustments and change things on the fly can really be a big benefit to helping you make a more confident decision and hopefully making what you believe to be the best decision with regard to that. But of course, Social Security you can take as early as 62, you can delay as age 70. There's a lot that goes into this as far as coordinating benefits with your spouse, so that's going to be important there as well. But you might say, hey, if we turn Social Security on at 62, that might give you a little bit more cash flow now, but it also could, believe it or not, push you into a higher tax bracket in the future, because that means lower withdrawals from your retirement accounts and higher future required minimum distributions. So we can start to play with these numbers a little bit and say, where maybe is that optimal amount? Is it at 65? Is it at 67? We've got Medicare in here, lots of different things that are going to kind of go into this, but hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea that I think, especially as you're getting more serious about the planning that you're doing for retirement, why you want to maybe graduate from just doing that legal pad or that simple spreadsheet and get a more sophisticated kind of financial plan to help you lay all this stuff out. So anyway, I hope this makes sense. I hope you're finding this video useful. If you're watching it and you're thinking, yeah, this does kind of make sense, and you want to have us help you put together some of your plans for retirement, you can go to wealthvisionplan.com. There's also going to be some links right below the video here today. Go to that website if you like what you see there, which is going to be some information about our Wealth Vision Comprehensive Financial Plan. If you like that, there's a button you can click on that, answer a couple of quick questions, and schedule a one-on-one consultation with me to see if it's something that might be a good fit for you. So anyway, I hope this video has been helpful, and with that, have a great day, and I'll see you back soon in one of our next videos.